think it's a good time to go back and just briefly, very briefly, go through some of our preseason predictions.
Let's do it.
Just the ones that stand out. Again, you don't know about injuries. You don't know about availability. Clippers were, I think, hard for both of us to some degree. You got it. I think I remember you saying this. You said something along the lines of, I don't think Kawhi is going to play enough games for them to be as high as 1 or 2 in the standings. You had them 5th. They're currently 6th. I had them as high as 2 in the Western Conference. So that's one in the West that jumps out for me. We've mentioned this many times, but we'll mention it again. You had Boston 6th in the East.
I think it will go down probably as one of the worst picks, if not the worst pick to ever be made on this podcast. And there's just no defense for it. My logic then I thought made sense at the time, but did not.
I don't remember your logic.
My logic was I thought there was going to be a learning curve with Joe.
Okay.
So they were going to start slow. And I thought the defense was going to take a little bit of a drop.
With Rob being out.
Because I thought he was going to be out until around the All-Star game. Obviously, that did not happen. And offensively, they've exploded. And so I'd say from opening night, it looks stupid. And I even said, I think the second show that I wish I could have had that pick back. And it's kind of looked stupider since then. So
I'll give you another one
when they win the championship, it's going to look even stupider.
I'll give you another one of your stupid picks.
Let's hear this.
You had the Pistons in the play-in. They're 9th.
I did.
You had them in the play-in.
Yep.
Yeah. They've got the second worst record in the NBA
I don't think.
right now.
I don't.
Some of that I.
So I don't think so.
We talked about it. We were both high on them.
We were both high on them, and that's a total crapshoot. I mean, Cade not playing. Like, there's so many. They have a lot of good young players on that team. I feel like picking the 9 and 10 seeds in the conferences are a little bit of like
a crapshoot. Yeah.
Who the fuck is? I mean, we're about to talk about the Pacers in a second. Neither of us thought the Pacers were going anywhere. This is now a 6 seed in the East that is competitive with everybody, and is beating the Celtics the only time they've played them this year. I think the only pick of yours that I feel like is a little questionable looking back is you had Denver 6.
That's the one I starred.
Yeah.
That's the one I highlighted as a bad pick.
And that may be the best team in the West.
Yeah, they were 6th last year, and they get Michael Porter Jr. back. They bring in Bruce Brown. Christian Brown, by the way, has been great for them. Jamal Murray comes back. Jokic is awesome. I fucked that pick up.
The other team we both overrated, I overrated more than you, was Minnesota. I mean, that's the big disappointment, I think, probably across the league, not just in the Western Conference, but.
Yeah, and look, the Suns have had injuries. We both were relatively high on them. You had them 3rd. I had them 4th. I had the Pels 5th. You had the Pels 6th. Like, we for the most part, we had a lot of these teams. We had the Lakers, both of us, I think, in 9th, play-in-ish. Blazers, play-in-ish. So we didn't have any egregious ones. The one thing we should mention, you brought up Indy. So Indy is currently in 6th place. There are 5 games as of today, as of this recording. Currently 5 games above 500. You've got a real shot to get in the playoffs. When the odds opened on DraftKings Sportsbook before the season to participate in the play-in tournament, Indy was at plus 1,400. Right now, they're at minus 160. They're actually minus 160 to make the playoffs as well. I didn't expect them to be good. I didn't. And I actually referenced them actually now tanking and going for the bottom and trying to get a high draft pick, which historically they haven't been able to do because they've sort of lived in that middle. And Tyrese has been amazing. Buddy Hield's had a great season. Mathurin has been one of the standout rookies. Miles Turner probably is having his career year. Nemhard.
Yeah, they have a lot of good. They have a lot of good young players. One thing about the Pacers in particular, I wanted to ask you about that I thought was there was a good SI article about this a couple of days ago. I think kind of stands out for why they've succeeded this year. They were horrible in the clutch last year. Mm-hmm. They were 11-34 with games decided by less than 5 points. Right now they're 16-10, and they're 7-1 in their last 8 games that are like this. And obviously, the 8 is sort of a small sample size, but is that just Tyrese taking the jump? Because it does feel like that is a difference of why this is a team that's a team that could compete for a potentially top 5 seed in the East versus a team playing in the lottery. Is just these end of game moments.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched all 26 clutch games of theirs, but I've watched a number of them. What stood out to me is execution and control. And so even though they have young guys, I do think they execute really well in the clutch. Rick has always been great with diagramming plays. But the other part is Tyrese's control and his patience and poise. We saw that in the fourth quarter of that Clippers game. That pass he made to Nembhard to beat the Lakers, where he could have probably taken a very forced shot and instead throws a left-hand cross-court pass on time, on target, right in his shooting pocket. So I think a lot of it is Tyrese's poise and control. I am blown away though. I rechecked the odds on this too. To start the season, they were plus 2,500 to make the playoffs. I think they're a playoff team. I don't know if they fall back into that 7 through 9 spot, but I do think they're a playoff team.
They've also played well against the top of both conferences. They've only played Boston once, but they beat them. They're 2-2 against Brooklyn, but there were some injuries for one of the games they lost. And they played Philly tough. They obviously played Miami well. I was going to ask about Buddy. Buddy's having his best 3-point shooting season since I think 2016 or 17 in SAC, but definitely over the last couple of years, he's shooting 42.6 from 3 on 9 attempts. Do you feel like that's a guy that people have almost like slept on a little bit?
No. Buddy has been a great shooter. If you look at sort of young players or players early in their careers, 3-point totals through 3 years, through 4 years, through 5 years, he's always been like in NBA history towards the top of that list. He's always been a great shooter. He's getting better shots this year. I don't remember the exact statistic, but I saw something on Twitter about the number of wide open shots that he's gotten, 3-pointers specifically, wide open threes that he's gotten. It's the most that he's gotten since his rookie year when he played in New Orleans. So I think some of that is Rick, some of that is Tyrese, some of that is Miles Turner. Miles Turner, to me, in watching, does such a good job and has such a good feel of when to pop, when to short roll, when to fully roll. Their game the other night, Tyrese hit him twice for these pocket passes where he dunked on someone. And then other times you see him popping and Tyrese throws it back and he knocks down a 3. So he kind of opens things up as much as it's Tyrese and as much as Buddy. I think having Miles Turner there and playing the way he's playing, he opens things up for them. Their offense has been top 10 for most of the season.
We should say before we move on, Tyrese still top 5 in Raptor.
Oh, man.
Still top 5.
Shout out to our friends at StatMuse, who I will admit I've made fun of some of their tweets. But this is a good tweet that they've had. Like this is why I follow StatMuse. They posted the other day, Tyrese Halliburton this season, 1st in assists, 4th in steals, 9th in threes. The only player in the top 10 for all 3 categories this season. He's having an all-star season. Grizz, by the way, again, going back to our predictions, I had them at 3rd in the West. You had them at 7th, which I felt like was really low at the time. They're currently tied for 1st.
It was low.
It was low. Thank you. And right now they have they're tied for 6th with the best NBA championship odds. I have mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. I put some money on the Memphis Grizzlies.
Well, one of the things
I got much better odds than plus 1,000.
One of the reasons
I took it a while ago.
One of the reasons it's definitely low, which I'm sort of curious about, and I don't have the specific numbers in front of me because it's changed over the last couple of weeks. But these guys, and we've talked about it a little bit, these guys are so good at winning without Ja and winning without Bane, and how good those two are. I mean, they're the best guards in the league, and Bane especially has missed a ton of time this year, and they don't miss a beat.
I'm glad you brought this up.
They're so deep.
I've got this right here, right in front of me. Tyus Jones in 7 games as a starter this season, 21 points a game, 64% true shooting percentage, 50% from 3, 7.7 assists. This is the most remarkable stat, a 4.9 assist to turnover ratio, over 2 steals a game, and a plus 6.6 per 100 possessions. It feels a little bit like Jalen Brunson, right? Where Tyus could be a full-time starter as a point guard and run a team on almost any team, and he just happens to be Ja Morant's backup.
Yeah. And then we've talked about this last week, but Jaren Jackson defensively, it feels like that's, if he stays healthy, that's the runaway defensive player of the year.
The runaway?
Maybe not runaway. I don't like using the word runaway. I don't like.
You shouldn't have.
Nothing's.
We'll take the word back.
Nothing's indefinite. I would say he's the favorite.
He's
for defensive player of the year.
He's one of, I think, 2 favorites. Meaning, there's a special class of favorites.
Okay.
Him and Brooke. I got him and Brooke.
Okay.
All right.
That's
as my 2 favorites.
Let's check back in. We'll check back. Yeah. We'll check back in June and see where that's at.
Grizz, by the way, currently have the 3rd best odds. They're trailing the Warriors and Nuggets to win the Western Conference. They're at plus 475. They open at plus 800. You bring up, is this player getting slept on? Is it? To me, these odds to start the year for them felt a little low, given their season last year, how well they played at times without Ja Morant, and how tough of a series that was against the Warriors in the second round. They lost the series, but there were few games that could have swung either way.
Can I raise a theory for why that may have been? Do you think that some of this is people thought last year was a fluke? Because these were a lot of guys who I think are probably household names now, but were not household names last year. They would talk about it all the time. They were not on national TV a lot. They were not before the playoffs. They were not necessarily, besides Ja, who's sort of an undeniable
people
superstar.
Who make odds don't care about whether people watch TV. People that make odds make it based on how good a team is.
So then why were they slept on?
I don't know. We'll have to talk to our friends at DraftKings.
Yeah, I think we should.
When I throw down on the NBA action, it's got to be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Take a shot at an even bigger payout with DraftKings Friday Night Favorites. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app using code JJ, opt in, and place a 2-leg pregame moneyline parlay, and you'll get a 50% profit boost. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code JJ. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.